call this meeting of the Hardin County Board of Education to order. If those that are with us will please stand. We'll start with pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Bland, you have our board commitments?
Yes. To improve our effectiveness, the Hardin County Schools Board of Education commits to keep children first, to listen, to be prepared, to be professional, to demonstrate financial stewardship, to represent the entire district and support district goals, and to support board decisions.
Thank you. All right, and because of the weather this evening, we are not going to have our recognitions as usual. I'm sure we'll try and pick those up next month. I do, however, want to ask for a moment of silence. We've lost a few of our Hardin County family, and Mary Johnson was a bus monitor. Rico Doyle was a student at North Hardin, and Adonis Rowe was a student at North Park. So if you all will please join me in a moment of silence for them. Thank you. All right. Mr. Sutton, we have focus on academics tonight? Okay. More things the weather was cut out for us. Departmental update? We do have that, yay.
I have just some few notes to share with you so that brevity is in order, but that you get a complete picture of a departmental update. My name is Janay Sutton. I'm in my 29th year serving Hardin County schools and their children and all the kiddos, and I'm super glad to be able just to share some of the wonderful things that our staff are doing here within the district. Under my directorship with the family and, with Health and Family Services, there's a lot of different small roles that go into play. Just wanted to kind of share with that. Our Child Protective Services, so DCBS liaison, it's nothing that within a day, 10 different social workers will contact me needing to know the location of a child, a school, parent phone number, FRYSC that they could contact and work with to get interventions going to support that family. Any type of investigations involving Title IX, I do assist with those with female students, managing our AEDs throughout the district. School safety through the bloodborne pathogens and other safe school compliance issues. I meet weekly with the county attorney's office, Commonwealth Attorney. We do a sexual abuse case review of our students that have been involved in that, and ways that we can be supporting and watching with gentle eyes to protect those kids in a special way. Work with our MPLAC coordinators for our military connected kids, Central Kentucky Community Foundation, as kids are completing scholarships. I do review some of those panels. Of course, Helping Hand of Hope, CASA, Feeding America, all the many different wonderful community agencies meet with and coordinate with our FRYSC and how we can support our families, as well as support our Tiffany Darnell, our 504 coordinator with health accommodation plans. Baptist Health, of course, with our overdose simulations, we plan and do those, as well as work with our district when there is some type of crisis and prepare team. Child Care Services falls underneath the Director of Health and Family Services. You heard an update in November from our wonderful Miss Amy Wood. She's a supervisor, still going strong, our new North End ELA Early Learning Academy. Just wanted to briefly highlight there at the bottom, we've had about a 5% increase in our ELA, which is our staff, ECTC, teen parents, getting services provided, as well as our after school. We've had a little over a 5% increase since last year at this time. Our next slide, School Health Services. This is a large portion of the Director of Health and Family Services jobs. To highlight on this page, we've added a school nurse at Bruin Academy. with our freshman center there for our Central Hardin students. So that's been a wonderful addition. And under our mental health services, it's been wonderful over the past 3 years to see Cumberland as they increase and bulk up. We have 3 more full-time therapists as compared to last school year within our system. And I'm going to share more specifically on the next slide with that. But the other thing down there at the bottom, you'll see our Cumberland Nurse Services numbers, how there's been a slight decrease in school nurse visits. But I attribute that we've had 2 school nurse vacancies. Our Meadowview nurse position is now filled, but our John Hardin school nurse position is not. But our nurse practitioner visits are remaining steady. They're such an excellent resource, especially during these 6 seasons of time. Cumberland has stayed true to their word. We saw a 40% is what we are paying. It has been reduced from 60%, which has been a savings over $100,000, over 20% savings, and they expect to continue that to decrease until we pay 0%. They hold true to that, and they are a company of their word from what all I've seen. And just the bottom, I'm pretty proud of it's a new KDE reporting thing, and had to collect every single person in the district that's CPR AED trained. That's all of our coaches, teachers. We just require by board policy 2 in every building. That's all that's required by law. But we have 298 Hardin County School employees. That's over 12% of our total staff that are ready and prepared in case of an emergency. We've also increased our AEDs. In part, that has been for our athletics that travel, track and things like that. Mr. Stith was very supportive in getting those purchased so that they could have those AEDs to check out, to take to some school locations or facilities that don't have readily available those AEDs. Going to the next slide when I said I was going to focus a little more on Cumberland and their mental health services, we contract with 13 total agencies, and you see several logos. We would not do without the Next Step, Communicare, Home of the Innocents, Karma, Wellfront. They are all, Total Wellness is a new group that's been added to our community. They come in and they work when kids have issues that affect their school, their learning. But wanted to specifically highlight Cumberland, who has dedicated 15 staff members to our district. And you can see that bottom bullet said the cost of Hardin County Schools is $0. And just like they're wanting school nurse services to be at $0, they don't charge, they bill insurance, of course, and so forth, but they just need a space in our schools. And you met Abby from Woodland. She was one of our difference makers just recently, is one of our mental health professionals from Cumberland. So outstanding services there. To finish up, this is probably the largest portion of my job, and while on departmental update, it often says FRYSC. We too have added there and expanded and grown as a family. The division of FRYSC, which is under the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, gave us another coordinator position. So where Teresa Ovison served 18 years, Vine Grove and JT Alton, she is just now at Vine Grove, and Lamar Payne is a brand new full-time coordinator at JTA, which is a phenomenal resource to have there. We continue to have our outreach workers at our high schools. The one outreach worker position will fade with this school year since we have added that new coordinator. So you'll see next year in my update that that position will be gone. Do a lot of things with our FRYSC because they are everywhere and all things to a whole lot of folks. We do have some district team meetings that I've shared there, managing this year's a $1.31 budget, $1 million budget that is based solely on our free and reduced numbers, and we'll talk just a little more about that. When you go to the block there to the right hand, you can see Feeding America, just one of our many community agencies. Talked with Emily Johnson. She is a former Hardin County School student that leads the path there. Emily Newton Johnson. She has 10 volunteers that delivers weekly to all of our schools, and you see how many they're delivering, over 1,400 bags a month, and they're not small little with one thing in them. Those cars are filled up, and we're on track for about almost an 8% increase there. Holiday assistance did go down just a tad. I'm not sure what to attribute that to, other than hopefully families are strengthening themselves and finding some other avenues through familial relationships and so forth like that. At the bottom, the FRYSC in action. I said I was going to share a little bit about the free and reduced lunch forms. I worked closely with Josie Crew, our awesome child nutrition director, and Miss Morgan, and we are just like, we've got to figure this out, this free lunch form, because this is money coming in. Mr. Stith and my professional growth each year, that's something we've talked and focused on. It doesn't just affect FRYSC. It affects our Title I budget. It affects preschool budgets across the board, that number. And parents we need them to report. It is what it is. So we joined forces, office managers, school admin team. Somebody claimed it and joined with the FRYSC to remove any barrier to getting that form in. Josie made it wonderful. It's easy online, but some families are just not reaching out to that. So we named and claimed every single kid, and you see out of the 14,322, we got 13,849 forms. I'd love to tell you what the increase was. The only thing I can tell you that it's going to equal almost $70,000 more dollars just in FRYSC funds. And I know Mr. Stith will have better other dollars in funds because those numbers equate dollars with our governmental funding. So I'm super proud of our FRYSC who championed that with folks in the building. The admin team principals were phenomenal in claiming that and making such a huge difference. I feel like those individual interventions did increase already this school year because of those interactions with CEP, but the other thing is what we have focused on as a FRYSC team this year, which is attendance. And you're not going to see this in your notes. I'm just going to share from high school down to elementary. I asked a few of our FRYSC. I said, what have you made? What difference have you made? And so I had one of our high school FRYSC. She shared she finds great value in prevention of not even letting that attendance go where it doesn't need to go because bad habits are hard to break. She said she recently had a student transfer for Georgia, and she works tightly with her school office staff when students enrolled. She learned immediately that this family was doubled up with another Hardin County school family. This child had moved here, this high school child had moved here with her 2-year-old daughter, her mother, and younger sister. So immediately they assisted with clothing so she felt confident walking into the school, food items for herself and her 2-year-old child, school supplies, anything needed on transportation. This young lady is a senior, so we wanted to make sure everything was clear for her to get her prom, her yearbook, and her senior trip also taken care of, so she felt confident coming into school. Barriers academically, socially, and emotionally were eliminated, and while this student has missed a few days or even shown up late due to having to care for her own little sick 2-year-old, she commits to making her schoolwork to not getting behind. This has allowed her to work hard in credit recovery classes so she will graduate on time, and she even is employed at a job that the FRYSC helped her find after school, so she's already gainfully employed. Just a high school attendance story. Our middle schoolers, you are familiar probably with Truancy Diversion Program. So this middle school FRYSC says that one of her largest roles is to facilitate the Truancy Diversion Program. Our YSC communicates with student teachers about grades and behavior, and the attendance clerk for attendance and tardies, and parents, guardians about what's needed. Then our team, alongside a judge, CDW, which is the court designated workers, and the school personnel spend 10 weeks meeting with this student. And during this process, the team tries to uncover the real reason. What's the real reason for this truancy? And she admitted, we basically are peeling back an onion to get to the root of the cause. And she said, one of my toughest onions had many behavioral referrals, disrespect, and disruption. Her grades were just terrible. She was failing almost all of her classes. She arrived at her first TDP meeting with a horrible attitude. But throughout those first meetings, she began to just hang her head and have big tears. The student, identified as special education, being served with IEP, was eventually discovered that she wasn't coming to school because she just felt like a complete failure in class. She acted out because she was just embarrassed, and it took attention off the fact that she just didn't know how to do the work. So the school admin team did some observations in the class, implemented some specific modifications with her IEP because the child, in fact, could not do the work that was being presented. The issue was corrected by the school staff as a team. This student has been referred for counseling and after-school ESS that she shows up for every time. While her grades took a while to eventually improve, her attendance improved immediately. The onion got peeled back. Another FRYSC at the middle school level, they do TDP, but you're going to find things at this school such as parents' attendance workshops. They have a tiered level plan. They have attendance all-stars. They're focused not just on the kids that are needing help, but the kids that are doing great and honoring that. They have grade level attendance competition, and one of my favorite, you snooze, you lose days. It's making sure kids come in, and on secret days, when they get there and they're on time, there's some type of a reward that's presented to those students. Finally, down at the elementary level, a couple of reports. This FRYSC, Family Resource Coordinator, has taken the team approach with her and her administrators. She greatly values home visits as a productive way to have a clear and supportive conversation with parents. In these visits, she reports that these plain, clear, simple, supportive, sometimes hard conversations make the most impact as you literally ask, what is keeping your child from regularly attending school? Again, you kind of hear the theme of the onion and what is really going on here. And by joining with other services through our Hardin County Schools DPP, whether it's social services, local law enforcement, and other professionals, we get what they need, whether it's an alarm clock, whether it's trading out books at night to read instead of their electronic devices before they go to bed, we get what they need. And my final one that I think is pretty clever, one of our elementary schools recognized that November and December, I believe in ALM, Mr. Sutton pointed out, those were one of the biggest slumps in our attendance in a district as a whole. So they decided to identify from October 15th to December 16th, students who had missed 2 or less days of attendance. And they had a attend-dance that was focused on honoring those kids who had that good. And that attend-dance, she said, while the kids loved it and the teachers had fun, perhaps one of the greatest accomplishments was that we had 10 phone calls from parents upset that their child did not attend. So those became great times for critical conversations with families. So I thought that was extremely productive. So as far as the update with FRYSC is going, it's going great. Like I said, we got dug in with the CEP forms and with attendance this year. My final couple of things that are related to FRYSC, if you flip your thing there, we share about Cradle School and First Connections. We're serving many different children. The biggest change at First Connections is our one that Mayor Duval was so kind to let us have the facility next to the RPD. I've moved back into North Park. They have made a space, so I encourage you to visit there at North Park or North End ELA as it's moved back into a school, because that's the big piece, is getting parents early into school and making them feel so welcome. And you can see there our attendance, and we still have 14 parents that we're working with. Final piece that's an arm of the FRYSC is our Family Stability Coordinator that works with families that are homeless or on the verge of being homeless. For this year, for the first time, to capture this data, we sent out a survey, a housing questionnaire that was recommended through the McKinney-Vento KDE sponsor. And it showed that 124 students were self-reported as homeless. And you have to understand that doesn't mean necessarily living on the street. It could be doubled up, it could be in a shelter, in a hotel, or they just have a home that has no floor, doesn't have adequate windows, and so forth. But then those were connected with the FRYSC. Phone calls were made, connections. Who do we need to be working with? Right now, Miss Crystal Rice, who you see up there in the upper right, she's just a gem. She loves our family. She comes with a history, a background of case management, and she's real. She's honest, and I'm telling you, if you want somebody to peel an onion, you want it in her hands. She is providing currently to 21 students. But in your packet, you're going to see little anecdotes. And I'm going to ask Mr. Wise if you'll start. If you want to update, whoop, go back. There you go. I just want you to read out loud, if you would, just some updates. It's stapled there at the bottom of your page. Mr. Wise, if you'll start and read yours, please.
Family relocated from a different state this fall. The mother is sporting a teenager and a young grandchild. She wanted to start over, offer better opportunities to her daughter. She has secured multiple jobs. The daughter is working in order to provide housing for them as they were staying with friends. They have been assisted by local community partners and the Hardin County School Family Stability Program, work to help them find housing. They received housing supplies from Hardin County School Warehouse and were provided with budget tools to assist in money management and developing a budget.
Which we know is key. We don't want to just hand out. We want to strengthen them to where they don't have to come back. Judge Bland, if you'll read yours.
A family reached out for support to avoid eviction. Thankfully, the Salvation Army was able to cover late fees and past due rent. The guardian was referred to the free financial literacy courses offered through Salvation Army in hopes of educating her in money management and budgeting to prevent a repeat of this situation.
Again, trying to strengthen. Ms. Johnson?
A mother, a mother with 3 HCS students was attempting to leave a toxic relationship and start over. They were assisted with emergency hotel accommodations and connected to several community resources. The HCS Family Stability Coordinator worked to get the mother approved for assistance through the Salvation Army for deposit and first month's rent. The barrier was then being able to establish employment that will allow her to stay housed. They have been connected and referred to the local winter shelter and other natural supports that have supported in keeping them housed until the right housing is made available to her and her family.
Mr. Casey?
A mother was leaving a domestic violence situation. She had financial support but needed connections to resources that supported a quick transition. The Mother and Family Stability Coordinator were able to talk with a local landlord and get approval for housing in a 2-day period. Hardin County Schools Transportation assisted with supporting the student getting to school so the educational needs were not impacted.
Yes, sir. Mr. Seeger?
Okay. An HCS family was unhoused after losing everything in a fire. Community partners, Stitton Baptist Church, Helping Hands of Hope, and community members were able to step in and assist with rent, deposit, and beds for the children. They were able to receive donations of furniture, bedding, household items, and cleaning supplies from the HCS warehouse that supported them in a fresh start right before Christmas.
It's important to understand that our Family Stability Program is designed to strengthen so that those individuals can then move on and be successful. We do have a warehouse over where Leif Tab's home is, and Miss Gina Ryan with HCEC, and we don't collect tons, but sometimes there's donations that come in, so those families that do need a bed for their child, that they're not sleeping on the floor, so they'll wake up in the morning rested. There's diapers there all ready to go. So if there is an emergent issue, like you're fleeing a domestic violence situation, or like a fire, but sometimes it is breaking the loop. And that's why we really encourage those budgeting classes. Crystal, her intensive background with case management, she's good at having tough conversations and has been very successful. So those children that were involved in those 5 different situations, which there were 8 kids involved in those 5 situations, they're not the 8 that's that 21. Those are 8 that have now been reconnected back to their FRYSC at their home schools and going on. So my final thing is a quote, and to that I give you thanks that your oar is always in the water and rowing in the direction of children. And I can't thank you enough, Mr. Wise, Mr. Seeger, Mr. Casey, Ms. Johnson, and Judge Bland. These programs, there's lots of departments and lots of things that kind of just happen because they have to, but these have to be supported by a Board of Education that sees what it takes for kids to be successful. So I just want to say thank you for always keeping your oar in the water towards kids.
Well, I want to say thanks for connecting these with stories. The numbers are hard to connect to sometimes. You know, they're big numbers. They make sense, but I don't remember those. But these stories I'm going to remember. I'm particularly going to remember that somebody came up with a way to get parents of truant kids to call in. That's amazing.
I just asked a few of them, do you have a few just anecdotes that you hear? Because I feel like the board needs to hear those things. And she said, I hope they're not offended. But she said they were mad. But she said we were glad because we got to have some really good conversations about here's the next reward and here's how your kiddo can be part of it.
Here's how they can be part of that. That's great.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Question on school health services.
Yes, sir.
Can the nurse practitioners, can they write prescriptions for students?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's the key to those nurse practitioners. There's 3 of them. They each serve, like the north end serves about 6 or 7, and then here the John Hardin pod, and then the south pod. You could go see them. It can even be infant children. Sometimes we have to connect. I know Superintendent Morgan, I hope I'm not violating HIPAA when I say that she was like,
Greatly appreciated all the
you
prescriptions
can't get into
she
your
called me.
GP sometimes. But it's an e-script. You go pick it up at the end of the day. So they also do telehealth, but they you see the telehealth visits, I ask them to keep those to a minimum. I like, in
Physical,
person.
in
But
person, yeah.
they will always call the parent. They will always ask permission, even though they've signed consent. On the first day of school, we send consent. But they always still call and say, Mr. Wise, your baby girl's here in the office. Her ears are really hurting. It's looking like an ear infection. Would you like for us to take a look? You go right ahead, because an ear infection, I'll be honest with you, if you're not running a fever, you're not contagious, you can stay at school. So they can do that prescription. You don't leave work. You pick it up on the way from work. Your baby girl rides home on the bus that afternoon. She gets her prescription in her, and she's good to go. But good question.
That's great. I'm proud that we got
That's a
Cumberland
fan-
Health Group.
And I will tell you that,
Fantastic
that
service.
60/40, where they pay 60%, we don't pay a penny of a nurse practitioner's salary. Or the nurses that are hooked to them, or their regional manager that they provide for us, we only pay a portion of the school nurse's salary. So,
Very
That's
good.
great. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Recognition of visitors. We had one person sign up to speak, Robert Byron.
Gotta raise this up. Can everybody hear me? Well, I'm booming anyway, so you're gonna hear me whether you want to or not. So I am actually just here to give some recognition. I am a new chemistry teacher at North Hardin High School. I got hired roughly at the beginning of the month. My first official day was the 3rd of February. And I have been involved in classes pretty much since then. And I would just like to give just such praise to the staff at North Hardin and to you guys as a board for supporting them in the way that they do things. They brought me in and they kind of showed me the ropes one by one. I'm going through the MAT program now at the University of Cumberland, so to say I'm green is an understatement. But they welcomed me and made me feel at home, and they showed me how to be an effective teacher just in a couple weeks. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Macy, Ms. Lucas, Stephanie Dow, the head of the department that I'm involved with, and several others. But thank you guys for setting them up for success. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's my first in 18 years.
We always take a deep breath when somebody comes up to the microphone. That was very pleasant to
Refreshing.
hear, and we appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Construction updates. Again, with weather, we did not have our noon board meeting today, so we didn't hear directly from the construction people. But Mr. Stith, I think you've spoken with them and can update us briefly on where we are and everything.
She's gonna make you good tonight.
Orders came from the back, so, oh, there she is.
So yeah, it's been as everybody's probably aware, and the reason that the room's so empty tonight is it's not been a good month for construction because of the weather. But I will compliment all the crews have been trying to make progress where they can. So maybe to start with Phase 2, I think John has some pictures here for you. So this is Central Hardin Phase 2. If you're familiar with Central Hardin, the second phase of Central, the area that's most done is what we call Area D. If you're a band person, if you're an ag, this is your favorite place in the building. So if you're in the back of the building, kind of closest to the softball field, this is what the inside of that area looks like. That hallway leads to the big gym. People might remember the old lobby that will be back in service, we think, August 1. So that's what we're shooting for this area, to have band and ag back in their regular spaces. I hate that they've had to be displaced this year. I know it's not been easy for those teachers and students, but I think they'll be very pleased when they get back in their new space. It'll be very nice and modern, and have some really good spaces for them to be in. Chorus is also back in that area as well. I don't have any shots of Area J. Some people think of that as the old freshman wing. That's the part of the building that was built in the 90s that goes out towards 62. There's a shot of the outside there. It's a little bit further behind. And that was by design. That's not anything anybody's done necessarily wrong. We were hoping it would be ready August 1, but it's going to be real tight. So tight that probably not going to be able to utilize that facility to start, that part of the facility to start the next school year. But they're moving along well. As you can see, it's closed in. That's temporary heat, so things should start moving much more quickly. And the outside will pick back up once the weather cooperates, which next week's looking pretty good there as well. If you go to your other email, John, we do have some shots here of phase 1. And unfortunately, I'd like to tell you that phase 1 is done, but it is not. There's still some items that we're getting punched out. It is nice, though, to see the outside of the building is getting really close to being done. We have some grass we need to get sown and some trees that need to get in place, but I thought you might like some shots of kind of what the outside was supposed to look like. So most of the metal's in place now, the roof's in place. A lot of the signage adds a little nice pop there on the sides of the building, kind of also helps folks know, hey, this is where we want you to come in at. But overall, phase 1 is essentially completed. We're just working on punch items at this point. Some trophy cases have gone in recently. I don't know if you've been in the building. The library, I should have taken some pictures of that because it is super nice. Really proud of how that turned out. It's going to be a great space. I know the media specialists there have already talked about how the kids are using some of the small rooms inside the media center to meet and collaborate and have good discussion. So it's going to, when we're finished with Central, it'll be fantastic. Any questions about Central?
White asphalt and white roof looks good.
Right. Well, the other 2 projects that we met on this week, West Hardin, folks have been out near Cecilia Valley on the backside of that campus. That project's been moving along well, again, until this month. We have most of the footers for the building put in, and the first course of block for a good number of the areas have been laid. But unfortunately, with the temperatures, it's just hard to do anything outside right now. But we've had good participation from subcontractors, and we even had a report. I appreciate Judge Bland joining us today from Weir that some of the contractors are coming in on weekends and staying sun up to sundown on days when the weather is good, so they can try to stay on track and keep the building opening when we anticipate it to be, which unfortunately won't be till March of 27, I believe. And I got a year off there, I apologize, but I believe that's right.
That's right.
Any questions about West? The other project that's going on that folks might have noticed is there's no food service building anymore. It is gone. And so where did Josie go? She's over with Miss Gina Ryan, actually, who makes all this magic happen when we're at these meetings, in her building temporarily. And they've been making good progress as well. Like I said, the building's already down. The geo drilling has started. But again, being outside right now, we're in the getting the building pad and coming up. It's just hard to do anything right now. So, but the contractors have all been working hard, and as soon as the weather breaks, they'll be jumping on that project as well. We anticipate Josie, hopefully, and her staff to be back in their new building July of next year. Is kind of the target for them. So I believe those are the projects at hand right now. Any questions on anything?
No. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Got consideration of the consent agenda, instructional services, approval of the fiber contract pending KDE approval, student services, approval for Central Hardin High School Beta Club to travel to National Beta Convention in Orlando, Florida from June 22nd to 26th via commercial carrier, and approval of the contract with Aptigee for the Thrill Share mass notification system. Financial services, we received the monthly financial reports, orders of the treasurer, school activity fund balance. Approval of the diesel fuel bid is tabulated from February 1, 25 to December 31, 25. Approval to employ Riney Hancock CPAs as auditors for Hardin County through June 30th, 2027. Approving some change orders for Central Hardin Turf Project, also for Phase 1 of the renovation project. We got 20 change orders for Phase 2 of the renovation project, and approval of BG5s for the Cecilia Valley Elementary and East Hardin Middle School projects, and approval of the revised BG5s for the John Hardin Greenhouse project and John and North Hardin turf projects. Approval of $4,000 donation from Ms. Barbara Hawkins to the Meadow View Elementary Family Resource Center for the designated purpose of assisting students and their families. Definitely appreciate that. We've got information on custodial substitutes and approval of school-wide fundraisers. We've got our certified and classified personnel actions and approval of a coaching stipend for KHSAA sanctioned boys volleyball teams at each high school. That should be fun. We've received SBDM minutes, PAC information, and approval of last month's board minutes, and approval from our February 6th special board meeting. With that, is there anything that anybody wants to discuss, pull out?
I think we got a really good bid on our diesel.
I wanted to ask about that. I think that turned out
Chris
good.
and I were sitting at a ball game the other night instead of watching ball, discussing diesel fuel.
As you will.
268, I believe. is what
268,
He
yes.
contracted that, and we talked about it the next morning. He called him and done. And I think that's really gonna be good. You know, we gained $100,000 one year. We could go 25,000 or so the wrong way, but I just can't see it. I think we're good.
That sounds like an awfully good price.
Yeah, we've done a pretty good job on that so far, and hopefully this sounds like it will proves to do the same.
Worst case, we know what it's going to cost.
That's
That's
right.
always good.
We
That's
can
right.
budget.
Yeah.
Yep. So, anything else? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
The only other thing I'll add is the new buses that we've added are much more efficient as far as using fuel, so that's helped us out considerably as well, so.
It's always good.
Yep.
Anything else?
I move we accept.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I do not believe we have any action items or new business, and that brings us to the superintendent's report.
Awesome. We've been out of a lot of school. This is day 11 that we have been out. We've had 4 snow days, 7 NTI days. Tomorrow will be another snow day, so that makes 12. I know some people are concerned with NTI. The good news is the previous 2 years, we did not have to use NTI instruction, but we are quickly approaching the second week of June. Based on current, or the first week of June, with the days that we've been out. So some folks are asking about graduation dates. The board normally sets those in March. We are not prepared to do that yet because the National Weather Service has mentioned that there's probably going to be another major snow in March. When they told me in January that there would be snow in February on these specific days, I doubted that they knew that for sure, but I was wrong. They were right. And so we're still out of school. So we try not to do more than 2 NTI days at once, but we have stuck to that, but we will have a traditional snow day tomorrow. So just know those decisions are not easy to make. We want to do right by our students. So hopefully next week, the temperatures look great for 5 days of instruction, which is great to have. The other thing that I want to discuss is I have a student advisory council, and the Student Advisory Council has been doing some research and wanted to do some type of project that involved the entire district. So what they have elected to do is to do a fundraiser for pediatric cancer, and specifically childhood cancer. So we will be participating in St. Baldrick's. We sent out an email that they constructed asking individuals, so I'm going to take volunteers this evening as part of the board to, 1, shave your head, 2, shave your eyebrows, or 3, wear a wig of our choice for 10 days.
Might be
Hey, I can handle that.
You might want to know about the wig first. And so we will be doing, different folks from different schools have already volunteered. Our students are going to try to promote a few more people to do that at the schools, and then we will have a contest. Whoever raises the most money, or whoever raises at least $500 agrees to follow through with either the wig, the eyebrow shave, or the head shave. And then we have T-shirts that one of our students from John Hardin High School has designed. And it just has childhood cancer, 1 district, 1 fight, and Hardin County Schools. These will go on sale, and we will send those out. They'll be available to the public. But again, all of the resources for this will go to 1 of 2 places. It will go to St. Baldrick's that donates to, or does research, donates to research for pediatric cancer. And the second one, which is very close to our county, is the Addison Joe Blair Foundation. They help families who have been overcome with childhood cancer, and they go and they assist with gas cards, a basket of things that they will need immediately at the hospital, and they know this firsthand. And just appreciation to Natalie Nelson, who came and spoke to our student advisory, Heather Jones, who came and spoke to our student advisory, and Wes and Kelly Blair, who came and spoke to our student advisory and just shared their stories and their journey, and that sealed the deal for our advisory council to want to take this on as their next project. So we'll appreciate any support that individuals want to give, and any board member who wants to shave their head, eyebrows, or wear a wig will
I'll sign
take
up for
that
that.
into consideration. The kids came up with that because we noticed there were a lot of adults that didn't have hair, and they wanted to make sure they had the opportunity to participate. So that's how that came about.
I see.
So greatly appreciate that. Mr. Wright will be making some videos, promotional videos with the Student Advisory Council, so you'll be seeing those out on social media and at our schools. So great project, great leadership opportunity for these students.
All right.
So is John Hardin Group going to be able to produce the shirts, or are you going to probably go a little more?
They, H&W Dukes has
Okay.
agreed if we will put their name on the back, and John has multiple community donations, but H&W Dukes will do
Okay.
because of the volume we anticipate needing in this situation.
But they designed it.
Went
good.
over and
Yeah.
they love the hands-on experience, and we're ready to do a few more. So we're excited that our students are taking on a real-life challenge to be able to do this.
Absolutely, absolutely. A wonderful cause, and get to have fun along with it, so.
Some more than others.
That's right. All right, I don't think we need an executive session. Our board calendar, February 21st to the 23rd, we will be at the KSBA Annual Conference in Louisville. March 14th, schools dismissed. March 19th, WHAS Excel Award Ceremony. Time and location is still to be determined on that. March 20th will be our next regular board meeting. The noon meeting will be at College View campus, and the evening meeting will be back here. Unless anyone has anything else, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you all for braving the weather and coming out.